It is time to go off the deep end. Dave Ferrell here at the CCA Florida Workbench. And
Yeah,
Dave,
man.
Hummingbird wants to know about how we're going to do the rigs and techniques on redfish.
Well, you know, I figured it'd be kind of foolish for me to stand up here and tell you how to catch a redfish because I don't have that big, pretty trophy. So let's talk a little bit. You know, I know that you guys got a new rod and reel sponsor this year, and we're going to be talking a lot of them. We got them on the show, so we're going to be talking a lot about them. So let's start with, you know, what was your combo? What was your favorite rig that you used?
Ideally, what we used was the Shadow Stalker rod series, 7 foot long, Dave. Some guys like a 7.5 foot rod. The problem is, for me, when you're sight fishing, the shorter the rod, the more accurate you can be. So I like a 7 footer because I can still get distance, but when I see that fish pop up, like they were doing in Louisiana, they were in the pogie schools.
Right.
We were simply rigged with a little VMC boxer jig head, and we used everything in Louisiana, for whatever reason, has to have a chartreuse tail.
Because that's what the boys like.
So we were using this Bass Assassin Elite Shiner with a VMC boxer jig. It was rigged with 10-pound Suffix 832 ghost line, the white, because I feel like the white line, it kind of blends in with the clouds.
Right.
And then we used this Samar 40 series loaded with the 10-pound. Now, I want to tell you something, Dave. The cool part about this, and this is true, I have 2 of these, and these were given to me by the product manager at Okuma.
Right.
He dropped this actual rod in October, rod and reel, in the water. Now listen, all he did was rinse it off, and he said, well, we're going to probably in a few weeks, a month or so, we're going to be throwing that one away because it was in the water for quite some time.
Right.
It's still here. It still works perfectly.
Well,
so that
beauty.
says a lot about the
Well,
quality.
we got to,
of
you
the
know, you got to have an inshore rod. So
Yeah, you do.
That's the way it works. What was your, you know, we talked a little bit about the rod and reel. You fished into different tournaments. What was your go-to lure? If you had any lure that you had to go to, what would that have been?
Well, certainly, I think
different places, I imagine it's different ones, but
yeah. But in this particular tournament, we fished early in the morning. We would throw the skitter walk, and the reason why we like the skitter walk is the actual tone, and you'll hear it tonight. I'll be shaking it for some of the other guys, but it clicks, and it's a deeper tone ball bearing in there, and that's the thing that I like about it. It's certainly the #1 topwater plug in all the topwater manufacturers. Then we also were fishing a spinnerbait. Because of the flash, using a Bass Assassin tail with a VMC boxer jig head. We used 3/8, we used 1/4 ounce, depending on the depth of the water as the flow, you know, the tide came in.
Well, the spinnerbait's really good because you can keep it off the surface and off the bottom at the same time, and you can pick where you want it to run.
And you can reel it real slow because the blade, you know, the resistance as it goes through the water.
Yeah, and I heard you guys were running 108 miles each way. Were you the only guys doing that, or were there
No,
other?
there was a couple other teams that did it, you know, and the question at first was, you know, we used the Navionics and our Hummingbird combination so we could make a huge shortcut. Instead of having to run out around the end of the Gulf, we actually ran through some marsh that we never had run through before. But I kind of mapped it out on a few days before, and I ran the route halfway. The question was, well, we're going to have enough gas to go there and get gas on the way back. We weren't sure about that. But we used the fuel management gauges on the Pathfinder that Yamaha provides for us. Worked perfectly.
Yeah. Did you guys do a lot of scout fishing that far out? I mean, somebody had to tell you there was something there. You had to know before to make that run.
Jeff Page fished out of Venice, Louisiana. I fished out of Houma. For those of you guys who don't really know how far that is, 56 miles southwest of New Orleans is Houma, and Venice is 90 miles southeast of New Orleans.
That's where we leave to go offshore fishing.
Absolutely. But, you know, Dave, there's a variety of different ways to catch a redfish. You can catch them on shrimps, you can catch them on popping corks, you can catch them standing on a pier, you can catch them fishing out of a kayak, and that's what makes it so great.
Well, they like to eat everything. They
do.
They eat plug, you know, fish, so they'll eat a plug, and they like to eat crabs and shrimp, so they'll eat all the soft baits that you throw at them. The hardest part nowadays is getting close enough that you can make a presentation and not spook them at the same time, because they're getting spookier and spookier the more guys are out there fishing for them. But, you know, that just makes us better at it.
That's right.
That's the way I feel about it.
And that's when you have to downsize your line, downsize your leader, sometimes even downsize the size of the lure.
Yes,
go to something
especially,
even smaller.
especially with redfish, because like you said, they have that underslung mouth. If you're using a topwater plug especially, they're coming up to the surface. They use that big old head, and it will push a bow wave, and a bigger lure will jump out of the way faster than a little one sitting in the water.
Absolutely correct.
Plus, it's a lot easier for them to eat it if it's smaller.
well, man, time flies when we're having fun.
Well, that was awesome, dude.
Hey, I'm so glad that
Now, see, you're going to be in trouble, though, because I'm going to take these secrets and kick your butt one day.
I hope you do. Publicly, I want to invite you to bring it.
I couldn't do it.